Hey, what's up, and welcome to Invisible Walls, episode number 41. I'm Shane Satterfield, editor-in-chief of the site, and I'm a little under the weather today, so you're going to have to bear with me. Hopefully my voice won't crack too bad. We do have a stacked show today and a full house of guests. Sitting to my left, although you can't see it, is Marcus Beer.
What do you mean it? Buongiorno, Al.
Patrick Morales is sitting in today.
Hey, everybody.
Daniel Bloodworth is on the show.
I'm over here.
And Brooks Huber's in.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice. Good to be here.
And rounding out the panel is Justin Spear.
Yo.
Wow, that's the most energetic I think I've ever heard you.
I don't know.
I've been
Maybe
feeding
we'll have
him-
to go back and check the archives.
We've been putting crack cocaine in his coffee
Every
the whole day.
introduction together.
Actually, that would be awesome if we went back and just listened to all your little intros and just edited them together in one big montage.
That'd be great.
Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Yo. Hi. Doing well. Hey, what's up? I'm doing great on this fine day. If I had to, I would. I'm racing taxes. Again. Engineering. Hey. Hey.
Yep, it'll be Vanquish. I'm sure I'm gonna take care of it.
Yep. We sure do.
All right, first we're going to talk about what probably, I think maybe Killzone 2 fans may have some issues with this, but what probably is going to be the biggest game of Q1, Street Fighter 4. Now, we've played the arcade versions when we were in Japan. We've been at 20 trade shows where we played this game. Finally got the final review built in a few weeks ago. We've been tearing at a new one. What's the story, guys?
It's awesome.
Everyone's afraid to talk. It's awesome.
It is pretty good. We wanted to get into the new characters, pretty quickly, so we unlocked some people, started playing with, Sakura and Gin, and I like the new characters a lot. I was a big fan of Cammy, and it seems okay. We still need to tool around with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any calls on character balance or anything like that, but it looks like they added a decent amount to the home release.
Now,
Got
what's
some
your
training
favorite
modes in
new
there.
character so far?
New or
New.
new?
Just anyone from the console.
I did like,
roster, I guess.
even though Viper feels a little underpowered, I do think she's kind of a cool character. She has a little
Underpowered.
different
Because the last
style.
time I played with her, I felt like she was overpowered.
At GDC, she was like an untamed beast. But
Yeah.
they definitely
They've
they
balanced
took
her
a
a
few of her
little bit.
claws out. Yeah, I think they might have done too much even. But in Japan, people seem to be getting some good mileage out of her. But you kind of have to work hard on your juggles and your cancels to really.
Yeah, it seemed like her juggles were hyper powerful the last time I played with her. Maybe a little bit too much so.
She's got some tricks.
Yeah.
No, Patrick, you seem apprehensive, like you don't want to talk.
I know, I'm just letting everyone
This
get
is your
their
game.
spiel on it first.
Well, why don't you give us your spiel?
Counter spiel.
Okay, well, I've been playing it for a good few weeks now, and I'd have to say that, this is definitely the game that I was expecting from the get-go.
And now, is that a problem, though? Is it exactly the game people are expecting and nothing that people weren't expecting? Because I think that's maybe the one sort of caveat to the game, is that it really is just kind of Street Fighter 2 with some new characters and a new coat of paint.
That is true, but to a certain degree, that was part of the intention. Yoshinori Ono, the producer of Street Fighter 4, made it very clear that he didn't want to disenfranchise people that grew up on Street Fighter 2. So he really wanted to return to his roots, and Street Fighter 4 really does a good job of bringing people back into the fold. This isn't a scary tournament fighter, but it can be. But at the same time, people can get into it, have a good time, play some online matches with their friends. It's all good. Given that, Street Fighter 4 still managed to impress me a lot with just the little subtle nuances in there. The focus attack, which they're really playing up, definitely added a new layer of strategy to our games. I'm sure Justin can tell you the same thing. It definitely adds an extra bag of tricks in there.
It's a good mechanic.
Now, for those listening or watching that don't know what you're talking about, can you explain it briefly?
Sure. Well, I guess in a nutshell, the focus attack is a defensive and offensive maneuver that can be pulled off at the same time. It's a really easy execution. Just hit medium punch and medium kick, and your character will kind of reel back to do an attack. You can absorb one hit from that, and if you let that attack go through, it'll be an unblockable strike. So that can lead to some pretty cool combos, and it's a pretty solid maneuver. Definitely something that tournament pros are building their game around.
Now, we have both the PS3 and the 360 versions in-house. Which version have you guys been playing and why?
I think the general consensus has been going around the 360 version, just
we
because
we
it's
did
a
get
faster
some.
load
We had
time.
some sticks for the 360
Yeah.
version at one point. So you kind of want to. I mean, if you already have arcade sticks lying around, you probably want to get it for that system.
Now, if you had to play with a controller, though,
I
which
think.
one?
Well, the Xbox D-pad is just
It's
pretty much
junk.
crap,
Yeah.
and everyone
Garbage.
knows it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So if you have both consoles at this point, based upon how much you guys have played, you would probably recommend somebody get the PS3 version if they don't have any arcade sticks.
I'm personally getting the PS3 version, yeah.
And visual quality, no difference. They're pretty much identical.
Yeah, they're pretty similar. The last time I played a console build of it in Leipzig, the graphics hadn't really been up to that level of the arcade, crispness, but they've done a good job of ironing out the kinks. They've definitely worked on the shaders some, and it looks pretty good.
Now, I guess really the last wild card or X factor here is the net code.
Yeah.
Anyone had a chance to fiddle around with it yet?
Not yet, because we haven't had any partner net sessions or anything like that.
Right.
Something that concerns me though is that they opted out of the GGPO netcode, which was used in HD Remix, which people are really digging right now.
Right, yeah.
So that is kind of something that remains to be seen. But I have faith in Capcom. We'll see what happens.
Anybody here played it, didn't like it?
No.
Lots of heads shaking. That's a pretty good sign. We're a pretty jaded bunch. So looks like Street Fighter 4 is on track to rock it. All right, next we're going to talk about a game. Well, it's called Fear 2 now. It was originally called Project Origin, although really this was always the sequel to Fear. Now, Marcus, you worked on the original Fear. Give us a quick rundown of how this whole naming thing shook down.
All right, so Monolith developed the original game for Sierra, Vivendi, and the Vivendi marketing team came up with the name Fear and the acronym First Encounter Assault Recon. So Vivendi owned the name Fear. Monolith, as the developer, owned all the IP within, so Armacam, Paxton Fettel, Alma, all those.
Now, how common is that for one company to own the name and another company to own like the people inside the game?
It's actually not very common.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I think at the time it was a benefits both deal because Monolith hadn't had a huge successful game. They'd had games that were critically acclaimed but hadn't sold dick.
Right.
And then so basically it makes it a little bit easier on the investment side if something goes wrong. One company gets the brand, which obviously Vivendi did, and they did the 2 expansion packs, and they were planning their own Fear 2. And then Monolith was obviously bought out by Warner Brothers, who then decided as soon as Fear shipped that they actually wanted to make the next game and publish it under the Warner Brothers Interactive label.
Okay.
And then obviously Vivendi, Activision merged. Activision decided to cancel their version of Fear 2, and I'm sure they made a nice chunk of change out of Warner Brothers, who basically didn't have to create a new brand in Project Origin, because Project Origin was a pretty lame title, to be honest with you. And to go back to Fear 2, subtitle for Project Origin, you've already got the brand awareness there from what was one of the biggest games of 2005 and the winner of Best Shooter at the Spike VGA Awards that year, in fact,
right.
beating Call of Duty.
So let's talk about the game now. Fear 2 Project Origin. There's a demo out there. We all got a chance to sit down and play with it for a little bit. You're probably the first person that we should talk to about this.
It's
Marcus.
fair. It's fair. I mean, the bizarre thing is I played the PS3 version because obviously that version came out as an exclusive with another type editorial type thing that comes out on the PS3 called from somebody else. But anyway, I actually thought that was a sucky idea, to be honest with you. I'd much rather they released the demo on block for everybody. So I played the PS3 version. We're waiting to get the PC version as we talk. It's definitely more fair. It feels like Fear. It feels like a Monolith demo. I mean, the engine is bigger, the shinier. They've got slightly larger outdoor spaces in certain areas. You've still got the trademark, little jumps and stuff that I actually expect now, having played enough, so much of the original game. The weapons feel good. The sound is a little bit off, though.
That's what I loved about the first Fear. I thought the audio in that game was just
It was
on
awesome.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, this time the weapons feel, sound a little bit lightweight, but the bullet time, as soon as, or the slow-mo as they're calling it this time, as soon as you activate it, I was back in fear.
Seemed like in a demo you have more slowdown time than you had in the original game.
It recharges slightly faster as well. I mean, they've changed the HUD system as well. I personally miss the old style.
Yeah.
And there's new graphical tweaks, but Alma's there. She's flitting in and out. You've got these bad guys coming in. It's more fear, and I'm so looking forward to this game.
No, everyone else gave it a whirl. What did you guys think of it?
Yeah, well, I hadn't actually played the first Fear, and I spotted the gameplays on Friday, and so I was really interested in it, so I wanted to give it a whirl today, and really impressed, really excited about it, actually. I liked the little hallucination moments, and the enemies do a real good job of like moving around, getting out of your way.
Yeah, they don't just sit there and wait to get shot, that's for sure. I
And-
tossed a grenade in behind a box, and 2 dudes ran out from behind there. I didn't even know they were there. I was like, oh,
And you're able to like flip over tables for cover and lots of stuff move
Open
around.
car doors for cover.
Which you
Yeah.
couldn't do in the last game, but the AI was really smart in the
It
last
was,
game as
yeah.
well.
You
And
can't
then-
really lock into cover though. You can pretty much duck behind stuff, but you're not.
Yeah,
it's
there's no
not like
cover
Gears
system
of War.
per
There's no
se.
cover system. No.
Yeah.
But the nice little treat at the end that Brooks and I got to check out, Patrick too, with the little walker at the end.
The mech part, which is basically like an Aliens or Exo Squad kind of thing. You jump into this machine, capable of firing endless rounds of huge bullets and rockets.
Well, that's a leftover from from Shogo. The Monolith did a game called Shogo on the PC. Was it Mobile Armor Division? I think it was called.
Yeah.
And that was a big mech game. Hardcore following, and it's great to see the mech in here. And again,
Well, you fought mechs in the first Fear as well.
You did,
The
but you
first-
but
the
you
first
actually
one you
you're
fight
in.
just
You can
rips you
get
into one.
you can get into a mech this
Right.
time. I mean, the mechs in the original Fear look more like Ed 209 from RoboCop.
Yeah. They're little like bipedal walkers or whatever.
But I mean, this just goes to show that Monolith knows how to produce a demo. I wouldn't be surprised if this is ripped from 3 or 4 different levels in the game as per the last one. It's
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, lots of weapons to try out.
Yeah, you're not limited to just 2. Like that's kind of why I was disappointed with Killzone 2 because I was playing both, and you just have a complete arsenal. You have like 4 or 5 different grenades, and then you have like your shotgun, your standard sniper rifle,
Well, it is a demo, so they try to give you a
Yes.
everything at once.
It'll be interesting to see if that's in the final version, because the original game you were limited with the amount of weapons you could have.
Oh, so you're thinking just for the demo? Then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay,
I'll also be
I
interested to
retract
see
that.
how they do multiplayer, because obviously Fear Combat was released as a free mod, and Fear multiplayer with some of the bullet time stuff they had was actually a lot of fun. Didn't take off as much as it should have done.
Yeah. And then my one concern, I only played it for 15, 20 minutes maybe. I had to turn down the image sensitivity almost the whole way. Like I hit start to turn it down, and I looked, and somebody had already turned it down almost the whole way,
probably
and I
me,
was
yeah.
like, "That's not enough." And I turned it down a little more, and then it was able to like sight them up a little bit better.
Well, what I will say is I'm sure it'll be great on the PS3. It plays well, and it'll be great on the 360. But if you've got a kick-ass computer, that's where Fear 2 is going to own, just like the original did. It's going to be one of the best shooters of the year on the PC. So get it.
Something
Agreed.
interesting, though, about the console versions is that Fear 2 really plays around with the vibration a bit, which I don't think you can really get on a PC version.
You don't need it, dude. Seriously, when you got your
Come on, man,
headphones
they have
on
vibrating mouse.
and you've got your mouse going, your keyboard and stuff, you got your surround sound kicked in, and you're right there in front of the
But
PC
with that
screen.
mech though,
that-
every time you take a step, it's rumbling. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but who needs friggin' rumbling when you got the really
But who
great
needs surround
audio
sound?
in your Trust me, I take really great surround sound headphones
Who
over
needs waggle?
vibrating. Exactly.
PS3 fanboy now.
You know what? You console gamers, you can kiss my ass. This is going to be a great PC shooter, and it's still going to be a great shooter on the consoles.
Yeah.
It's going to own on the PC.
I mean, Rumble
It
doesn't
can
sound
still
like...
suck.
No,
Yes, it can.
the last one didn't.
That doesn't
And
mean
you
this
know what?
one's good.
Monolith have a phenomenal track record for excellent games, and Fear was the first one that sold. This one will do really well again, and it's going to be a great game. So shut up, Mr. 3 out of 5.
We'll bring it back whenever. We'll bring you back to this point whenever the game comes out, and we'll see if you still are willing to stand behind that.
And you're going to get boned.
Does anyone read me? Over. I'm getting a rapid interference.
All right, next up, we have a very special guest in today. He doesn't make it round these parts very often. In to Invisible Walls this week, Daniel the Man Kaiser.
Wow, what a lovely reception. I love coming here. It's just like, it's a party every time.
Where's the beer?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Here I am. I'm actually disappointed. No offense, Daniel, but I thought Santa was coming out here.
Sorry.
What brings you into town, Daniel?
So we're out here working on the first episode of Season 2 for Game Trailers TV.
And that is coming back again this year. Now, there's rumors of a new day and time for the show. You know anything about that?
I do, actually. It's not going to take place until April, but in April we're going to have a shift from the wee hours of the morning on Friday to the later hour of well, actually it's earlier to midnight, but it's still pretty freaking late. But it's going to be on Thursdays. So Thursday nights at midnight, which is an hour earlier and a day earlier. So
The not so wee hours of
yeah,
Thursday night.
it's not that bad.
Little wee, just a little.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that affects the show. I know Friday night's a big night for people to go out, blow
Yeah.
off some steam after a long week of work. Hopefully on Thursdays more people are couch bound and they'll be watching. But then there's the whole trade-off of, do people stay up late on a Thursday night when we
Right.
know that they do on a Friday? So
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how the viewership sort of adjusts to our new time schedule.
sure.
And you also have some big shoots coming up, right?
Oh yeah, we're obviously with season 2 we're going to try to surpass what we accomplished in season 1. You know, so that's going to take a lot of going to cool places and traveling all around and covering, of course, the biggest games and getting world exclusive premieres, which everybody works really hard to do. But for me personally, I'm probably most jacked about the fact that this upcoming weekend I'm going to Montreal for the NHL All-Star Game. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge hockey fan, specifically a Rangers fan. And when that came into my cell phone, hey, can you do a shoot at the All-Star Game? I was like, hell yeah.
Now, for the record, up until 2 days ago, I was supposed to accompany you
I
on this
know,
trip.
I know.
And then I saw my flight itinerary, and it was like brutal.
Yeah, brutal.
And then I found out Sidney Crosby may not be playing in the NHL
Yeah,
All-Star
it's
Game,
kind of
and
a
I was
wash,
like,
right? Yeah,
maybe I'll stay on the West Coast for this one. But you and I were a dying breed. We are hockey fans.
I know.
I am a truly rare breed, and I'm a hockey fan that lives in California.
Yeah,
I think there's about 40,000 of us in the whole state.
such a
and
great sport, though.
20,000 of those go to Anaheim games, and the other 20,000 go to San Jose games, and then 5 people go to Kings games. So
Yeah.
it's tough living out here loving hockey, I'll say that much. But you and I, we tend to text message a lot
Yep.
when the Penguins are playing the Rangers, as they did this past weekend.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Might I add, the Penguins shut out the Rangers 3-0.
Yes, they did. They did, but you know what? NHL 09 is a fantastic game, and to bring it back into the realm of gaming, I mean, that honestly has just really addicted me. That's kind of what I'm playing the most these days, although over the holiday I did get a chance to, my wife got me Prince of Persia, actually, for Christmas, and you know, I dig the game. I mean,
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. I'm really all about the music and the art style, and yes, it definitely has its shortcomings. I mean, you know, in terms of, is it the ultimate game for this, that, and the other thing? I don't think so, but is it fun to play? Hell yeah.
I enjoyed the hell out of it, too.
Yeah.
It was a little too autopilot for my
Yes,
taste to really put it
absolutely.
up in that upper echelon of software, but still a very solidly produced game.
Absolutely.
What else you been getting into, man? You been playing online much?
I've been playing mostly NHL online. We have me and a couple guys have a little team, and it's really fun to go in there. It's like a persistent, you know, little universe they've created there, which is awesome. But you know, just trying to try out as many games as I can. Been trying to dive into Fable 2. Have not been as turned on by that one as I thought I would be. But it's pretty sweet, and of course we're getting ready to get into busy season with the show, so I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with titles that are coming out, that, you know, and at least get a chance to play through a couple of them and at least touch all of them. So
Now let's talk a little bit about what you just mentioned about having your buddies play on the team with you, because that's
Yeah.
kind of a recent phenomenon. There have been games you could play offline where, you know, you and 4 of your friends could make up the whole basketball team or whatever. Doing this online, what do you think are some of the pitfalls of that? Because sometimes it's kind of good to have those computer opponents that are always going to be crashing the net.
Mm-hmm.
When you rely on someone else to man that position, sometimes they're going to be out of position.
Yep.
They may be skating up the other direction on the ice when you need them to be down low.
Totally.
How's that worked out for you so far?
Well, actually, I think what the game does a really good job of doing is if you practice in the single-player mode, in the Be a Pro mode, they have indications on screen to kind of teach you the game of hockey by showcasing where you should be on the ice, you know, as it correlates to your position. So you can learn positioning, which is, of course, a vital, you know, thing in hockey, and then apply that to your online character. It doesn't, you know, those assists are off, those visual assists are off online. You're kind of left to your own, you know,
But
talent.
have you found that people do that? Are they actually practicing, or do you find that people are just doing whatever the hell they want?
It's a mix. There's guys that obviously take it pretty seriously.
Because who wants to play a defenseman and stand on the blue line the whole game, right?
Yeah, but you know, it's actually pretty fun. What the most fun I've ever had with it is like playing against a team like 6 guys, you know, like all 5 skaters and the goalie. And the most I've ever been on is a team of 4. So when you play like that, it's like everyone has to do their part. And if the game is so accurate in the sense that if you get a breakaway, if you get a turnover, and you have an opportunity to capitalize on it, and it's really, really rewarding. So.
Sounds like it could either be incredible or incredibly awful,
Yeah.
depending on who you play with.
It really comes down to, I mean, if you were to take the ice with guys who didn't know how to play hockey, of course your experience is going to be altered. But if you're trying to, let them learn the ropes and learn the game of hockey, you're going to have, your growing pains in doing so. But it's a pretty awesome game, and the Rangers are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, really.
All right, next we're going to talk about Skate 2. Now, I reviewed the first Skate for us. Definitely took some heat for my score of that game. Everybody kind of, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people laid into me. I did not like it as much as a lot of other people. As I've mentioned on the show before, I did skate for like 11 years. I don't do it anymore. My body at one point just said, "You're insane, stop." And actually, at one point, I bought a board and I broke it in 2 hours. And I was like, okay, I think that's a sign that my skateboarding days are over. So I do come from a perspective of somebody who used to skate, appreciates the sport, realizes it's probably the most difficult sport on the planet. Not only are you dealing with something that's really difficult, you're also dealing with the fear factor. I've played a lot of sports, definitely the most difficult one, except for maybe golf, which I know people don't want to hear. So that's my perspective talking about Skate 2. Now you guys are coming at it from the perspective of you just like to play games. So I think that's a pretty good sort of juxtaposition for us to discuss the game. Having said that, Patrick, you've played a good bit of Skate 2.
I have.
What are your impressions of it so far?
I've played the original Skate for a good bit, but I've never actually gone out of my way to purchase it. But having played Skate 2, I feel it's a more compelling package than the first one. Definitely a bit more fleshed out. I really am compelled to buy it this time. They definitely increased the amount of things you can do in the game. Even though it's not quite a huge departure from the original, they've just filled it out so that you have more tricks to do. There's things to do in your downtime with the new Hall of Meat feature. They've really done a good job of implementing online play better this time, rather than just having it a free play mode. And it just feels a lot of the things that you think that they should have gone with the first one, they definitely followed through in 2. At least that's what I thought.
No, I like some of the additions. Obviously, my big complaint about the last game was there weren't enough tricks. I don't think anybody could deny that there weren't enough tricks in the first game. And they have remedied that. There are modifier buttons that you use to hold while you're doing the same tricks that will give you new tricks, which is great. Right. Some of the other additions I'm not so fond of. A big part of the game is actually racing and doing downhill, which could be great. The problem is that the racing engine in this game is complete garbage.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a luck of the draw when you race downhill.
Yeah.
No, and the other problem is that the perspective is constantly shifting behind your skater.
Yeah.
And it's great when you're just trying to like skate up to a bench and grind it or whatever. But when you're trying to find a line down a hill and trying to line your guy up for like that, not that turn you're making, but the next turn, and the perspective is changing, it's like impossible.
Yeah, it's really hard when you go to grind down rails sometimes too, because you'll find that your skater actually really gets in your way.
Yeah.
So
even with the new camera type, it's still a little hard to see.
they could try to remedy it if there are multiple camera angles, and that helps. But I really appreciate that one low camera. I love to play through that. And it gets tough sometimes when you're grinding.
Yep.
My other complaint is the vert stuff, the half pipe stuff, the pool stuff. Like keeping and generating speed in that game is just ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you have to like hold up and hold down when you go up and down the transitions to generate speed. If you're a real skater, you don't think to yourself, okay, I just landed this trick, I need to pump to get speed. You just do it. It becomes an instinct inside you that when you're going down a transition, you push down with your back foot to generate speed down that transition. When you're going up a transition, you de-weight and you fly up the transition. It's not something you're thinking about. So for them to incorporate like a mechanic into it, it's annoying and it's just not fun. It's so easy to lose speed on the half pipes and the pools. It just takes away from the fun of the game. And that was really my overarching issue with Skate 1, period, is that, yes, it is very much like real skateboarding. In real skateboarding, you would try a trick literally 400 times before you'd land it. I remember trying to learn pressure flips. I don't think they even do pressure flips anymore because like 4 people in the world ever learned how to do them. But I never, ever landed a pressure flip.
Is that how you broke your board?
I never landed a pressure flip. And I literally have tried that trick 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's real skateboarding. That doesn't mean that a skateboarding game should be like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the missions in this game are just like the last one. It's like do this very specific trick. And with the analog stick controls, it's just too hard to do that one trick that's maybe, 10% off with the analog stick rotation from another trick. It just, when it's in the actual realm of playing the game and you have to line up, make sure you have enough speed, make sure the timing is right for the ollie, and then make sure you do it to the 10% degree, it's just, to me, it's just not fun.
No. Yeah, I definitely agree. As much as I like the controls and as precise as they can also be kind of random at times. Even when you try to master a particular trick combination, sometimes it just comes out with something different. Like a kickflip can be a kickflip, and then ollie can suddenly turn into something else.
It's very hard to just do an ollie without doing a heel flip or a kick flip.
That's true. You just
And
have
to do most of the tricks where you have to modify with the shoulder buttons, you have to do just an ollie. If you try to do a kick flip and then try to grab it, your timing's going to be off. You can do it if you have a lot of air. But if you're just trying to do one trick off a hit onto something that they're telling you to do it on, you have to do the ollie perfectly, the regular ollie. Then you hold down the button. Then you can do your other modifier trick. And it's just, again, you're skirting along through the game. You're doing fine. You get to one of these objectives where they're like, okay, land a frontside heel flip, to Smith grind or whatever. And it just, you sit there and do it over and over and over. Again, it's like real skateboarding.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's fun in a video game. And while I think skateboarders will probably appreciate it, trying that same trick 50 times to get it, I still think that the average player who just plays video games for fun isn't going to enjoy it that much. So,
Yep.
Do you think they should have slapped a newbie mode on there, or?
I think that probably may have been a good idea, or at least found some kind of middle ground for the more casual player versus the
I still
hardcore
find
skater.
it pretty fun to pick up and play, even if
That
you can't
is-
do exactly what you want to
that's-
do. The
that's the
controls
key to the game.
The controls still feel.
They feel good.
It feels
Yep.
good to.
Yeah.
The
pull off
feeling
the
that you
tricks like
get
that.
of skating, it replicates it great. The audio in this game, like when you're cruising on your board, if you're really cruising on a board, the sound that you get of your wheels going over the cracks in the sidewalk, the whoosh you get every time you push, they've just nailed it.
The sound of
Ollie
Brooks
in,
getting hit by a car.
yep.
That's spot on.
Ollie in, 10 feet off a ledge down into a parking lot, the sound of the wheels hitting the pavement, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
And if you just want to get a game to just screw around and just free skate, buy it, no doubt about it. If you want to play a game to get your achievements or to work through the actual game, that's where I think I have to draw the line. For the last segment of the day, we are going to talk about the Fable 2 DLC. Now, I did play Fable from start to finish. Unfortunately, it's another case of playing it on a debug. I did not get my achievement points, which I always had about playing on the debug. So I also did not have the opportunity to really sample the DLC. But Marcus, you did. What are your impressions of it?
I did. I mean, and just so I qualify, I've actually played through the full Fable 2 twice. Once as a good character, once as a bad character. So I was actually really excited for the DLC. It was coming out, pretty timely manner, pretty quickly. Downloaded it, and a bit underwhelming, unfortunately. It's all set on this island called Knothole Island, and basically they're having major weather problems. And the quests involve, first of all, the place is snowed over, and you have to go and free the ice key to turn off the ice, and then once you've done that, it's all sunny, and after that, it's raining and flooding, and yeah, I mean, it's basically, I think 3 or 4 missions all told.
Do you have any insight into what a knothole is?
A knothole actually is in a tree where you've got a like a knot in the bark. That's what a knothole
okay.
is.
Is that where
in
the
a tree.
owls pop out?
Yeah, pretty much. You're actually not far off. So, I mean, the characters very, very much Fable 2 style. There's some cool new features in there with regards to new augments. There's new suits of armor to get. There's some cool little new stores where you don't buy stuff with gold. You have to trade stuff in.
New weapons?
Well, there's new weapons.
That is probably one of the biggest complaints a lot of people lodge against it, is that there weren't enough in the original.
There's this mythical Halo-esque rifle that's in there. Haven't been able to find it yet. I'm assuming you've basically got to trade up and get a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it's basically in there. I think it's a 6 or 12 shot gun. There's a couple more achievements to unlock. Unfortunately, the quests themselves, they're very repetitive. It's very much there's the whole orb thing again, where you have to hit the orb, then shoot the orb with a crossbow, then use your magic, and it turns into an orb version of Dance Dance Revolution, where you just have to memorize the pattern and make sure you're in the right place at the right time, which unfortunately is really boring and really repetitive. So this feels, after our conversation last week about DLC, this actually does feel like something that was either really quickly cobbled together just to get it out quick, or was something that was deemed not good enough to be in the final version of Fable 2, and then was thrown out, cut out, reworked on a bit to tart it up, because again, there's no cutscenes. It's all very much in, out, quick, dirty. It just feels kind of tacked on, which is really disappointing. So I love my Fable 2.
How much? It doesn't sound like it. How much playtime do you think you could conceivably milk out of this extra content?
All right, well, I'm seeing a lot of reports online that it's 5 hours. Those people are obviously slow-ass bastards, because I did it
I
inside
finished the
90.
game in double that.
Well,
The entire Fable 2.
the basic core storyline, yeah, you can finish that inside 8 to 10 hours. But then all the side quests and stuff in Fable 2,
I
that's
didn't
where you
get
get the added
100%,
value.
yeah.
This one, I finished the weather quests inside about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And the island is very small, not much to explore. There's cool little treasure chests, little things to pick up, little books about the island. But yeah, it's about 2.5 generous estimation of content for $10, considering I've got so far about 40 to 45 out of the original game of $60. It's not.
You played that game for 45 hours?
Well, yeah, I played it through. Like I
my
said, I
gosh.
played it through twice, doing and there's quests that I've missed. There's quests that if you play as the evil side, you pick up certain things, and there's certain knock-on effects that you have. And you play as the good side, there's different quests again, and that's one of the things that I think you missed out perhaps on Fable 2. When you do something as a kid, it can be have a good effect for the town or a bad effect. And so all of a sudden, right from the beginning, you're going off in different directions.
Yeah, I just think the game needed to give me a reason to care about that kind of stuff.
Well, I must admit, I do love that sort of stuff. I do love the Fable stuff, and the whole characters behind it, and the very British, English, if you will, sense of humor.
Yeah.
I love shooting Scottish gargoyles.
I mean, if you really look at it, if it's 2 hours, hour and a half long, and you're paying $10 for it, it kind of works out to the whole game, right? I mean, the whole game was $60, and it was about 8 to 10 hours long.
Well, I mean, 8 to 10 hours for the basic game, but like I said, if you actually play through everything, you've got a lot more hours in there. And like I said, you
Right,
did go
but if
from
you
A to B.
actually play through all the content they're giving you here, then you get 5 hours instead of 2, correct?
I don't think there is 5 hours in there. I really don't. I think it's more like 2. And I think that the difference is that the content you got in the main game was actually a lot more engrossing, a lot more challenging, a lot more variety than what you get in this 2 hour piece of DLC.
I wish all my customers were like you.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. Been another awesome one. Sorry we didn't get to your questions today, but we had a lot of content we wanted to get through, so we'll definitely be back with that next week. Hopefully I'm here sitting and in good health for next week. Right now I am not feeling too positive about that, so we'll see. But thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to us on iTunes, give us a rating over there, and please join our Facebook group, as Marcus is telling me right now. Jump on there, join the group. It's a big old Facebook party on there, right?
It's a party in your face.
And I can send you a ton of worthless applications and cupcakes and tufts of green grass
And you can all join my clan on Mob Wars.
and then you can all ignore the crap I send you, like I do with everything that people send me. So see you on Facebook. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.